everyone, Chris here, and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be participating in BookTube Spin, round 4. So the BookTube Spin was created by Rick McDonald, and basically what he does is he encourages you to pick 20 books off of your shelves, and then on a predetermined date he is going to spin a wheel, and whatever number comes up, that is the book out of the 20 that you have to read. He is going to be spinning the wheel tomorrow, so I'm getting my list up today, and once he spins, we will have the rest of October, November, and December to read the book he chose. I think he might actually be spinning 2 numbers, but you don't actually have to read the second book. You only have to do the first one. I may do both, but I will definitely do whatever number comes up first. So when I was trying to figure out how I was going to select my books, as normally he suggests doing something like 4 categories of 5 books, I wasn't sure how I wanted to do it. And then I was watching last night Krista from Books and Jams video for her BookTube Spin, and what she decided to do was she has a TBR cart with books suggested to her by readers, and she decided to pick the 10 most highly rated and the 10 most lowly rated on Goodreads and have those be her 20 books. So I decided to do the same thing, except I used my physical TBR, and my 20 books will be the 10 highest rated on Goodreads and the 10 lowest, and I will alternate. So without further ado, let's get into my list. First up, with a rating of 4.54, is Death in the Spotlight by Robin Stevens. This is the 7th book, I believe, in the Murder Most Unladylike series. In this series, we're following Daisy and Hazel, and it's a historical fiction, and they go to this boarding school, and they end up solving mysteries. I've really enjoyed this series, though I haven't read book 6 yet, so if this one gets picked, I will have to read book 6 before I can read book 7. Next up, with a rating of 3.34, is The Lies They Tell by Gillian French. So this is book 2, and this is a YA thriller, I believe. I don't want to know more about that because I like to go into my thrillers pretty blind, but I don't necessarily have high hopes for this given its low rating, but if it comes up, I'll give it a go. So option number 3, with a 4.49 rating, is A Spoonful of Murder by Robin Stevens. This would be book 6 in the Murder Most Unladylike series, so if this one came up, it would be no problem to read it, as this is where I left off in the series. Book number 4, with a rating of 3.34, is Light Years by Emily Ziff Griffin, and I believe, yes, this involves a pandemic. It says, Louisa's life is thrust into chaos as a deadly virus sweeps across the globe, killing thousands and sending her father into quarantine. So I think of all the books on this list, this one would be the one I would want the least, just because I have yet to really read a book about a pandemic since our own pandemic started. But if this is the number that gets spun, I guess I'll be giving it a try. Book number 5, with a rating of 4.49, is Squirrel Flight's Hope by Erin Hunter. This is a standalone in the Warriors universe that is obviously going to follow Squirrel Flight. Warriors is a series that follows forest cats who live in clans. I've been doing a read of this series this year, so I would be delighted if this one came up. Book number 6, with a rating of 3.43, is Losing Isn't Everything by Kurt Menefee. It says, the untold stories and hidden lessons behind the toughest losses in sports history. So this is a nonfiction book that is obviously about hard losses in sports, and sounds like it could be an interesting read if this is the one that's chosen. Book number 7, with a rating of 4.48, is The Long Road by Christopher Holt. This is book 3 in the Last Dog series. I haven't read books 1 or 2, so if this comes up, I would have to read those first, which means I would prefer not to get this one. But this is a series I really do want to try, so if it came up, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. Book number 8, with a rating of 3.46, is Countdown to Lockdown by Mick Foley. This is the autobiography of wrestler Mick Foley. I grew up watching him, so it would be interesting to hear his story in his own words. Book 9, with a rating of 4.46, is Dark Waters by Christopher Holt. This is the 2nd book in the Lost Dog series, so I would rather get this one than book 3 because it would just be easier to get to, as I would only have to read book 1 first. If book 3 comes up, I actually have to read this one anyways. Either way, like I said, I'm excited to try the series, so I wouldn't be upset if either of those came up. Book 10, with a rating of 3.47, is Airy by Maria Davana Headley. This is the sequel to Magonia, so I would have to read Magonia first. I have no idea what this one's about, as I haven't read Magonia, but I guess if this one comes up, I will be reading this and Magonia. Book 11, with a 4.44 rating is Stormbound by Jennifer Lynn Alvarez. This is the second book in the Guardian Herd series, which I actually think I should have read before I read the Riders of the Realm series, because I think they take place in the same universe, but I'm not 100% sure. And I don't know if I should have read this before that, but I've basically read all of the Riders of the Realm, so in this case, I will have to read book 1 before I can read book 2, but either way, I've really enjoyed the Riders of the Realm series, so if this comes up, I'm actually pretty happy with that, as I've enjoyed Riders of the Realm, so I see no reason to believe I won't enjoy the Guardian Herd as well. Book 12 with a 3.49 rating is Send For Me by Lauren Fox. I'm actually surprised this was so low. This is a historical fiction that moves between Germany on the eve of World War II and present-day Wisconsin, unspooling a thread of love, longing, and the powerful bonds of family. That's really all I know about it. I like historical fiction, so if this comes up, I definitely won't be upset. Book 13, with a rating of 4.43, is Echo Sister by Paul Mosier. This is a middle grade contemporary, and we're following 12-year-old Elle, who is really excited to start at a new school and thinks she can erase all of the mistakes she made at her past school, but her dad picks her up one day and tells her younger sister Echo has a life-threatening illness, and I guess her entire world is now turned upside down, and I guess we'll see what happens with Elle and her sister. Sounds like this could be a sad read, but maybe a powerful one. Another one I wouldn't mind having to read. Number 14 with a 3.51 rating is The Honey Don't List by Christina Lauren. I've loved a lot of Christina Lauren's work, so I wouldn't be upset if this was chosen. I believe this follows a couple who does like a design renovation show, but the relationship is crumbling, and we're really following the two assistants who are trying to keep the show together and the couple together, and I'm assuming a romance comes from there. I've actually heard mixed things about this, so the reading doesn't exactly surprise me. But if this comes up, I guess I'll get to see where I stand when it comes to this book. Book number 15 with a 4.41 rating is Ban This Book by Alan Gratz. I don't want to know anything about this book because this is one of my predictions for fall covers. If you haven't seen my video for fall covers, I will link it in the description below. Basically, I picked 5 books on my TBR whose covers reminded me of the season of fall, explained why I thought they reminded me of the season of fall, and I'm planning on going into them blind and seeing if they are actually set in fall time. So I plan on reading this book in the next few months anyways, so if this one came up, I would be pretty darn happy. Book 16 with a rating of 3.54 is Magonia by Maria Davana Headley. So earlier I got Aerie. Magonia is also on this list. We're following Azza, who is a mysterious lung disease that makes it harder for her to breathe, to speak, or to live. She captures a glimpse of a ship in the sky and actually ends up on the ship, I guess. And she can actually breathe for the first time, so sounds like a YA sci-fi that could be interesting. This is also on my 5 on Friday, where I picked 5 books off of my TBR that'll self-destruct by the end of the year if I don't read them. I'll link that video in the description below as well if you'd like to check it out and get more information about what this and the other books I picked are. But, I mean, if this comes up, I guess I will definitely be reading it before the end of the year. Book 17 with a 4.41 rating is Dear Sister by Allison McGee. This seems to be like a graphic novel, and I think it is a brother writing letters to a sister. That's really all I know about it. And I think given the nature of the book, I don't really want to know anything else. This one sounds like it'll be a really quick read if it comes up. Book 18 with a 3.58 rating is All That I Can Fix by Crystal Chan. I've had this on a TBR before and decided not to read it, because we're following Ronnie. He's from a mixed-race family with a dad who tried to kill himself and a pill-popping mom and a genius kid sister. The local eccentric decides to open up all the cages of the exotic zoo, and overnight news crews, gun control supporters, and gun rights activists descend on Makersville. I think this book ended up on my TBR last summer, and given everything going on with the pandemic and the Black Lives Matter movement, it wasn't something I wanted to read because I was reading to escape what was happening in real life, not read more stuff that was similar to real life. So if this came up, I think I'm far enough removed from all of those situations that I could actually give this book a try. So if this book was chosen, I would definitely at least give it a go. Number 19 with a 4.40 rating is The Length of a String by Alyssa Brent Wiseman. I don't know anything about this book, but I do know that Amanda from the Curly Reader has raved about how great this book is. I believe it was Amanda. If not, I'm sorry, Amanda, for attributing this to you, and I'm sorry to whoever it was that raves about this book, but I will link Amanda's channel in the description below. You should go give her a follow. And basically, I got this book, like I said, I think because Amanda raved about it, and so if this came up, I would be very curious to check it out. And lastly, book 20 with a 3.61 rating is The Marked Girl by Lindsay Klingele. So this is another one of my these books will self-destruct, and what I remember from reading about this description is that a bunch of people from a fantasy world end up in like our real normal world and have to figure out how to get back to their fantasy world. And I remember this was the one I was most interested about when I read the descriptions of those self-destruct books. So definitely wouldn't be upset if this one ended up getting chosen. So those are my choices for the BookTube spin. Are you participating in the BookTube spin? If so, share with me your list. Also, let me know which book in my list you're hoping to see me get. If you've made it this far in the video, leave me emojis with things that spin. Like this video and subscribe to my channel, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye!